Judah who's getting off the Wi-Fi. And the way I like to introduce people is kind of explain how they ended up here. I think I met Judah Myers quite some time ago online, and I think she said when I picked her up from the airport the other day, I was like, I finally get to go meet with all the other crazy people who believe what I believe. To which I thought, no, we're the sane people. The rest of society's crazy. They're the ones who want to take scissors to the back of the neck of a child because of their father's crime. They're insane. So Judah was happy to find us. And come on up, Judah. And she's going to talk about hostile conception, living with purpose. And then after her talk, we'll take a short break. Here you go. That was fun. Next time I'll write the talk more than the morning before, but thank you.
It was all I could do to not be cheering in the background because really, you think y'all are just normal or whatever. I know that people say you're crazy, but, oh, I get one of those.
Yep.
I'm free. Okay. Untethered. But when I look at you guys, I see people who would have saved me. Not free? Yeah, I cost a lot.
Is it good?
What? Both mics? I can't stand. Okay, I can't stand up right here. But every time I hear people fighting for the life of the unborn, I know that my own mother had her family that didn't believe her. And so I listen to people who are saying that they are pro-life, but with exceptions. Isn't that pro-choice? Didn't they choose to not allow me to live? And so if people are out there believing that you can be pro-life with exceptions, if you had an epaulet, I would rip it off. Because you are simply pro-choice for fewer people to die. Stop saying you're pro-life if you have exceptions, and let the real pro-life people, and there are, step forward. Because we're not trying to bash pro-lifers. There are people who actually feel like the word has been tainted, kind of like religion at one point. To be a religious person was a good thing. But today that word actually means bad. And what the abolitionists are doing, as I see it, is trying to purify a word that's gone bad. It's like, I can be a Christian. There are Christian Wiccans, there are Christian Buddhists, there are Christian anything and everything. And if I were in a hamburger joint, I could tell you I'm a hamburger. What reason do you have not to believe me? How many people know what a hamburger is? Woohoo! So now, oh my gosh, I've never had this many mics. I'm surrounded. And besides, you don't see this, but I'm backed up against a wall here because I can't go anywhere. Okay. If anybody really knows me, you know that I am not a person that can be boxed in.
Probably also a person that can be mic'd.
That's right. Well, anyway, so my pet peeve is that if people are saying that they are Christian, Christ followers, how do you know you're a Christ follower if you don't even know what Christ did, what he said, who he is? Did you know that he's Jewish? And I'm going to hurt somebody here. I don't mean to be saying this to hurt anybody. I'm just stating a fact. Jesus was a Jew, not a Catholic. I don't want you to laugh at that. That's not something to laugh at. I'm not trying to be ugly. I'm not trying to be divisive. I'm not trying to do anything but speak truth. And if you know me for any length of time, you're going to know that I am a truth seeker. And if somebody sees that I'm wrong and you can prove it in Scripture, my flesh won't like it, but I guarantee you I will humble myself and I'll say I was wrong and I will change. And people have come to me and told me I was wrong. takes a lot of guts, a lot of commitment to Christ to admit that you're wrong. But man, does it feel good once you realize that, hey, I'm not carrying the lies along the way. And so that's what I want anybody who's listening to me now. Open your heart to Christ. Don't be open-minded, because anything could pop in. But be open to Christ and be open to truth as I share my story and my mother's story. I say hostile conception, living with purpose, because it was hostile, but I still have purpose. And I was looking at, or listening to what Russell was having to say, and I'm like, oh no, I was going to say that. I was, because nobody's saying what I'm saying, right? I go to conferences and nobody's saying what I'm saying. And all of a sudden, it's like, he's saying just what I said. And I'm so appreciative. My heart goes out to every one of you. I feel like I am truly, honestly loved and not just being given lip service, patted on the back, great story. I feel like you really do care. You really do love life, and you're willing to prove it. And I thank you for that. I want you to hear my mother's story. She can tell it better than anybody. My mother died in December, and so this is the first year that my Valentine birthday was not celebrated on earth by my mother. At her funeral, I was told that she had celebrated my birthday every single year. Celebrated my birthday. Does that sound like a woman who hated her child conceived in rape? She placed me for adoption. She loved me. And when she died, that's exactly what she told me. I've always loved you. You were a gift from God. And so I want you to hear. Brian, what happened? It's the next one. Oh. We pause for a technical difficulty interruption. Oh, I have to show you my socks. Okay, right? Can anybody see my socks? Okay, pause 1 second. Those socks don't match, right? Okay. Well, Mackenzie was nice enough because I forgot to bring socks, and it's really cold outside, and she didn't have any black socks. So I decided I'm just going to wear this, and the Lord pointed out to me, isn't this how these Christians go about doing Christianity? Because when I'm walking, you can, every now and then, you can see a little flash. They even have crosses on it. You see the little flash every now and then. But if I'm standing, right, you can see nothing. Nothing. And so if we're just standing, not showing our Christianity, but, if I walked around, I know you can see this. If I walked around with my pants like this, it's quite obvious to see I really don't fit in. And everybody would be looking at me going, what is the matter with her? Why can't she look like everybody else? Right? And so, pull your pants up, get in the water, and it's the living water, and flow with the Lord. And another thing, I never hear from God, right? I never hear from God. Well, little things like this, that's God speaking to us. This morning we went into a McDonald's, and normally I don't tell people what I do, but I'm going to tell you this for a reason, because it was another God thing. So I'm going through the drive-through to get a breakfast, and I said, hey, I want to pay the person in the back, right? I want to pay her breakfast. And like, oh, okay. But I said, when you do this, you're going to have to tell her that this is a gift from Jesus Christ, that if she ever needed a sign, here's the sign. She backs up. I kid you not. The woman behind us backs up and leaves. Well, that wasn't planned. Okay, so God is telling me this is just like our blessings. How many of us are not patient enough to wait on the Lord giving it? He's paid it, right? And we're the next one in line. But we don't have enough time to sit at his feet and wait for that blessing. And she missed out. And she'll never know She doesn't know that I paid for her breakfast. She has no way of knowing. She'll never know that. So let me encourage you. Another thing in this is be patient. Things don't happen overnight. Please listen to my mom. She's my hero. Well, doggy. More technical difficulties. Oh, we need the, yeah. Hold your ears. This always happens wherever I go.
I walked home, which was about 8 blocks. And when I got close to home, there was a used car lot. And there were 8 men in there, and they grabbed me and attacked me. And I made it home after they attacked me and beat me up and did a few other things. And then when I got home, I didn't say anything to Sarah and Russ until the next morning, and I told them I was quitting. And I went home to Jackson, Mississippi. At that time, I didn't know I was pregnant. Well, 3 months later, I found out I was. And my parents didn't want me to have the baby, let alone keep it. But I didn't believe in destroying her. So I had her, and they forced me to give her up. And a year and a half ago, she looked me up, and we've been close ever since. I love her with all my heart. And you ladies of the world, you don't have to abort your babies. You can give them up for adoption if you don't want them, or you're forced to give them up. Give them away. Don't abort them. The baby is alive from time of conception on. So please, in God's name, keep them. Don't abort. Thank you, and God bless everybody.
This is only the second time that I've seen that after she's passed. And I want to sing a song for you that I wrote for my mother. It's on the next slide. And I'm hoping I'm going to be able to do this because, being choked up makes it a little more difficult. It's called God is Faithful because if you show the next slide. It's not working. Okay, well, when I met my mother in 2005, she's in a wheelchair, and I knelt down beside her, and we were just talking for about an hour, and then I finally had enough guts to ask her what was the circumstances of my conception, because I'd heard in 2001 that I was conceived in rape, but I didn't know the details, and maybe it was wrong. I was hoping. So she says, sure. I was walking home, you heard the story, and I just burst out crying. I put my head in her lap, and she pats me in this little Alabama accent. She says, honey, stop your crying. I've forgiven those men. And look what God's done. He's brought you back to me. God is faithful. What are you going to do with that? I'm better. Okay, great. It's over. I know who I am in Christ. And so her strength, it was just amazing. And this is what we are capable of in Christ. You think the world could do that? Why would they? And so through Christ, all things are possible. I did have to sing this a cappella one time, which, Lord, please. Okay, this is actually what she said to me. And the very next one's going to be the song. Okay. You just click that little icon. So you can turn up the volume. Can you hear me on this one? No. She waited 48 years to get her baby back, crying and praying that God was keeping track of her little girl. She was given to her to ease the pain, a cruel memory. She can't take the blame of a sinful world. And when all hope seemed to be gone, she lifted her eyes to heaven. She was saying all those years, God is faithful. No matter how long it takes, my God is faithful. And I will trust him and obey, because God is faithful. I can patiently wait. Precious love was born on Valentine's Day. Her mother was crying while they took her away from her loving arms, looking for a reason. It had to be this way. Would God reveal his plan for her someday? Could she be strong? And when all hope seemed to be gone, she lifted her eyes to heaven. She was trusting all those years that God would come through, never knowing that her little girl had been praying too. God is faithful. No matter how long it takes, my God is faithful. And I will trust him and obey, because God is faithful. I will patiently wait. Well, answers to the prayers had finally come. They were singing the praises of God, the gracious one who holds our cares. When their eyes finally met, love lifted the veil. All the fear was gone. God's love never failed to answer their prayers. Now when they see others' hope is gone, they say, lift your eyes to heaven and let this be your song. God is faithful. No matter how long it takes, my God is faithful. And I will trust him and obey, because God is faithful. I can patiently wait. God is faithful. And if you're faithful, you will see the blessings like my mother did, even in the worst trauma of your life. Everybody knows these verses, right? Why don't they apply to the rape conceived? Ah, but they do. And my God placed me in my mother's womb on purpose. And when I asked him why, this is what I heard. I placed you in the camp of the enemy to glorify my name. Wow. And I heard other rape-conceived people say the same thing. What if? You know, I think of a cartoon where the pro-lifers are holding this battering ram, right? This big, big log, and in the log it's carved, rape conceived. And there's Planned Parenthood in their door. Boo! I really think that if pro-lifers would take up the battering ram, if they would use us for eliminating abortion instead of accept, we'd bring the house down. Hey, just saying. And I love the way Russell says, I mean, he just says it, that we're all created in the image of God. It's not like God said, all right, Satan, you got this one, buddy. And he turns around, I don't think so. Satan can't create anything. Okay? And the original. No, you pass that thing around everywhere. And actually, I stood before the House in Austin because they were passing the sonogram bill. They didn't want to have the poor mother of rape conception have to look at that hideous creature. And so the hideous creature took 2 sonogram pictures and stood there and said, which one is the one that is so horrible that the mother can't even look at the sonogram? You know, and I just stared at 40 seconds of silence. Do you understand? 40 seconds of silence is enormous. It's the loudest silence I've ever heard. It was uncomfortable, and I just stood there. Nobody looked at me. You know? But they heard me. One of these is really a rape-conceived child. And the other one is my grandson, a love child. So I said 50% chance you get it right. You want to know which one it is? No, it doesn't matter, but it's this one. All right, so God's way is the only way. And I've been saying all along that Christ said, leave those 99, go after the 1%, right? But nobody, we're all Christians, right? We're working for God. But how come you're not doing it Christ's way? Is anybody thinking out there? Okay, so if I am doing anything that makes you uncomfortable, the one thing I'm doing is provoking you to think. So just sit there for a quiet moment and think about it. And don't think about how much you hate me for saying truth. So, now, the stats on abortion. Do you know that I know 5 people who aborted a rape-conceived child and never said a word? Stats are wrong. So 55 million children have died. 550,000 of us recorded, and California doesn't do records either, so that's not even 1%, it's more than 1%. Thank God that most women, mothers like Anna and mine, most women, especially, I'm thinking 98% of the people that I've spoken to have kept their rape-conceived child or placed them for adoption. They gave birth. And so rape-conceived children are less likely to be aborted than other unplanned pregnancies. But hey, who knew? Well, guess what? The uprising, I'll tell you about that in a little while. We are coming out. And unless you're talking like Russell and the rest of the abolitionists, don't talk for us, because you're saying it all wrong. We can talk for ourselves. People like my mother, people like Anna, lots of people out there, and we are talking for ourselves. Thank you. And if you want to hear us, great. Join the abolitionists. If you don't want to hear us, don't say you're pro-life. Thank you. Next. Here's arguments, and he covered them, but I'm going to cover them again because you can never hear it too many times. No, don't say sorry. I was all I could do not to be going like, yes, yes. He is telling my story, but yes, yes, thank you. All right. This is a very powerful one because when I was in Idaho, a gentleman with the Idaho Right to Life who've never they never had exceptions, he is saying, because I was saying, the rapists get off scot-free. And he said, it's a crime to tamper with evidence of a crime. Ooh, I heard the angels. And the lights went off, and I thought, a weapon of warfare. right? So the real issue here is that we're the only children who are protected under the law to not be touched. Isn't that a funny thing, huh? So pro-choicers, we don't have the laws and we really have to. Sorry, I'm mocking. Forgive me. I don't want to be that way. But this is what I've heard. It's not the time. We can't do this. We're going to have to go back all the way to square one. We can't make those laws. Hey, guess what? Laws already exist. And the laws say you cannot tamper with the evidence of a crime. Yes, I am the evidence of a crime. And it doesn't mean that you can abort the child and then take the DNA because it's like a crime scene. You can't go in there and pick up a piece and go, I'm just going to use this one, right? You can't touch the evidence of a crime. Anybody working this one with me this year? Woohoo! All right. Go to legislators. Look, Alabama's already passed a law banning abortion. North Dakota's passed a ban. Iowa is working on it right now. It can be done. So don't listen to those people who say can't be done, whatever it is. When I was in Louisiana, I'm telling it, Louisiana Right to Life said it wasn't the time, it was too much money. How much is a life worth? And what is the time, right? Catholic Family Forum actually raised money to stop a bill that would end all abortions in Louisiana. Moving right along. You already said it, never unrapes a woman. What is the outcome of this let's kill a rape baby? What is the outcome? What do you really want? What you want? What do you want? You want to make it go away? It doesn't go away. Do you want to make the woman feel better? No, she actually feels worse because I've talked to those women, one of which is suicidal right now, who says, I was raped and allowed to live. So I was assaulted and allowed to live, but I'm turning around and murdering my child. I'm worse than the rapist. Is that really what we want to do? And I know we think we're compassionate, but this is a misplaced compassion. And we're hurting women far worse than if we let them have the child and place the child up for adoption if they can't raise the child. Next. It violates her in the exact same area. There are women who have been raped, and there are women who had abortions. The woman who says she aborted a child told me that it felt just like when she was raped. Next. I do not deserve the crime of my father. So if your father just happened to go out and do something, would you like for them to haul you off and say, you're the payee, you're going to have to pay up? It's just stupid. Nobody wants to do that. Next. You won't be killed, but they're going to come after me. Next. And they regret killing their own flesh and blood. It's not their body, but it's their legacy. It's their offspring. And you can pretend that you don't know what fetus means. It's a fetus. Okay, it's a fetus. I'm with you on that. Do you know what fetus means? You know? It's just a way that you can pretend it's not a real human baby. But if you continue to let it grow, what are you avoiding? You're avoiding a baby. So pretend whatever you want. The outcome is, I don't want a baby. And it's obviously healthier. Somebody said to me, it's healthier to have an abortion than to give birth to a child. Really? Wow. And when I said, I'm glad I'm a woman, because I said, you know, God made me to have babies. I have a uterus that had baby written on it. You know, is that not true? What's my uterus for? It doesn't help me breathe. Guess what, guys? Right this minute, I mean guys and gals, I don't have a uterus now, and ooh, you can't tell. So, what's about, you know, I can live without a uterus because it's not that part of a body that functions for anything else but making a baby. Sorry, feminists, work on it. Next. All right, can you pick out, and guys are loving this, right? Because you're like, I couldn't say that, but yes, yes. Okay. That's all for you guys, all right? And another thing, let me just say something, is when a woman is, not raped, but a woman has a baby, it took 2, 3 actually, because God designated that. So why is the guy left out? It's not your body. Well, it sure was his body when you were laying there. Now let's go ahead and put it, you know, like it is. It's his child. Maybe he's not carrying it, but like my own husband, got a girl pregnant in high school, and he wanted to marry her. He wanted to do what was right. And her mother took her and forced her to have an abortion. She killed my husband's baby, right? So if any guys have a woman, on YouTube, there was a gentleman, and I have this video out there, and this 26-year-old man, just broken, he writes to me, and he says, my wife just went and aborted my 4-month-old baby. Who's going to speak for them? It's not right. Everything's messed up. Can you pick, well, I was going to say, can you pick the rape conceived child in this? No, of course not. Next. This is my favorite part. This is what my mom's decision has accomplished. It's my whole family. Those are my 2 sons and my 4 grandsons. Next. Could you deny that kid his legacy? Come on. Next. And that one? Next. Surely not that one. Next. Okay, so you can count the seeds in an apple. Next. But you can't count the apples in a seed. So when you destroy one human being, how many generations have we destroyed? And I want to say to women who have destroyed that child, there is redemption. There is forgiveness in Christ alone, not through doing things, but in Christ alone. Go to Christ and ask him to forgive you, and he will. He will. Next. So imagine all these people cheering you, right? You haven't seen them yet, but there's a whole bunch of us. And we're cheering you because you're saving lives. And for anybody who's ever worked at a pregnancy center, anybody here? Those of you who have worked at pregnancy centers and have helped a woman to save the life of a child, and you personally don't ever get that thank you as proxy because somebody helped my mother, I want to say thank you. Thank you for my life. Thank you for every life that you have personally saved. For all the people who stand out at abortion clinics and you don't think you accomplished anything, there are people who don't abort simply because they saw somebody out there who cared, even if you never spoke a word to them. Don't stop. The uprising.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
We're coming out. I could say, I'm coming up. No, not that one. But my peers have had enough. We are no longer, and our mothers are no longer satisfied with being the silent victim because you can't say anything. Let me tell you, on Facebook especially, you can be a prostitute and keep your child, and which I do applaud, okay? Yes, I applaud any mother who's going to keep her child. But if you say that you tried to keep or you kept your child because the child was conceived in rape, you wanted it. What? You weren't raped. Oh, they want to attack Aiken and Murdoch for saying the child doesn't deserve to be killed for the crime of the father. Well, what are they doing? They're attacking beautiful women, mothers with hearts so huge, no earthly person can figure that out. It's a God thing. And for them to love their child unconditionally, and you to say, not you, but you, to say that that child is a demon seed, that's what I've been called, or we need to be aborted because the gene pool. Okay, you love those sound effects I use? The Lord said to be as unto a child, right? As like a child, so here we go. The rape conceived issue throughout society, there have been so many war rapes. I guarantee you all the blood's tainted. Come on. You know, we got so much different stuff going on in us. And I lived 48 years without knowing that I was conceived in rape. How many other people sitting out there with secret stories? So, you know, get off the high horse. All right. This is a song basically that I wrote because I know that God can use anybody. He just needs somebody willing to say yes. And so this song is called A Plan for Me. And don't watch me, but I want you to watch the slides. These are the faces of rape conception. And There are so many, many more. I think there are around 20, 23 people that I have up there, and that's not even skimming the top. So these are the faces of those people who would never amount to anything. Notice I put their profession along with their name and their face so that you can get a true grasp of who we are out there. You know, as far as for me, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother. I was a professional artist for about 18 years. And we just live life. I'm a minister. We're just living life. But when I die, I want people to have known that I lived only for Christ, and my only goal is to give him glory greater than anything imaginable for me. I want to go beyond what I thought was possible to give him all the glory. So, if we're ready, we can. Do you have ammo yet? Pack it away because Anna's bringing more. You will be well equipped to go out when that person goes, well, what about in the case of rape? And yeah, they actually do look that way. You'll have an answer. Well, I was feeling kind of down. So many thoughts were spinning around. Not good enough to be used. I was feeling like such a fool. Voices seemed to pierce my heart. I was to fail before I start. Then a thought came to my mind. Well, these are just Satan's lies. 'Cause Abraham was too old. Jacob was a liar. Naomi was a widow. Samson a womanizer. And if God can use even Balaam's donkey, he's got a plan for me. Yeah, he's got a plan for me. The glass wants to speak today. It tells me I was a mistake. Even from the beginning, there's no hope of ever winning. Voices seem to pierce my heart. I was to fail before I start. Then a thought came to my mind. Well, these are just Satan's lies. 'Cause Abraham was too old. Jacob was a liar. Naomi was a widow. Samson a womanizer. And if God can use even Balaam's donkey, he's got a plan for me. Yeah, he's got a plan for me. Well, I can do all things through him. He can make me new again. He can make me new again. Wish he'd make this thing new again. 'Cause Abraham was too old, and Jacob was a liar. Naomi was a widow. Samson a womanizer. And if God can use even Balaam's donkey, he's got a plan for me. Whoa, he's got a plan for me. He's got a plan for me. Yeah, yeah. He's got got a plan for me. Thank you, guys. God bless you. I love every one of you. Okay, let me ask. How many of you have filled out the, your name and got the bag? Can I have the bag, please? Because I'm going to give the Hostile Conception, Living with Purpose. The first 2 chapters, basically, I wrote, and then I took dictation from God on the rest. You're going to see what I mean when you read it, because... What? Do you want to,
We'll let Anna do it.
Oh, that'd be great. Come on.
Anna Wagner.
Woohoo, Anna. All right, Kelly.
Well, you get it. I'll read it. All right, thanks, Judah. Okay, we're going to take a break here in a second.